Hi everyone! So I'm going to show you today how to get some really big voluminous curls without them being tiny little ringlets. So what you're going to want to do first of all is, if you're using a paddle brush or any other type of brush that you're using to dry your hair, when you are drying it, make sure that you're drying it in a few different directions, because this will add volume at the roots to start with. So for instance, if I was drying my parting down here, I would have the nozzle facing down and drying my hair in this direction with my brush. But what you then want to do is, if you still want to keep the volume, is flick your hair over and have the nozzle pointing that way, so that you've got all of that airflow coming underneath the hair, really giving it a lot of volume to start off with. So that's what you're going to want to do to start with when you're drying your hair. Okay, I have used a L'Oreal hair oil, and I've used 2 squirts of this and already run it through my hair. I've also applied some Tresemme heat defense system, and you really want to make sure you're using a heat defense if you're using any type of heat on your hair, and if you have a heat defense gloves or mats, make sure that you're using them as well. Okay, so I'm going to take my clips. I'm just going to start by sectioning off the hair. I'm just going to do this from just above the ears and tuck this away. And then this section that we've got left, I'm going to split this in half again and tuck this up as well. Okay, I'm just going to split this back section in half, and then with my paddle brush I'm just going to brush through to make sure that there are no knots. Then with the straightening iron, I'm just going to clamp close to the roots, turn this over at least 180 degrees, and when you've got a nice tight grip, just pull down nice and slowly. Then that should spring up. As you can see, mine hasn't, so all I'm going to do is, whilst it's warm, just twirl it around the finger, and then you've got quite a nice bounce that has been left. I think I'm going to change my top actually so that you can see my hair. Hang on. Okay, it's not white, but you can see my hair. Okay, so on to the next section now. Just going to do exactly the same. Clamp, twist at least 180, and when you've got a good clamp on it, I'm just going to pull down slowly. When you get to the bottom, what you can do is that little twist again, and for each curl what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a really good spritz of hairspray before I move on. And for this I'm using the John Frieda Brilliant Brunette hairspray. This is really tough, so it's not going to brush out super easy when you're using it. It's going to really give your hair a lot of volume. It is quite expensive though. I think it's like £4.99 for a can, so do use liberally. So just spritz in that hair, and then moving on to the next section. Just going to take that down, taking a small section from the side, I'm just going to brush it through again, and with this section we're just going to curl in the opposite direction, so clamping and going under this time, flipping the hair over and then pulling down nice and slowly. So if your hair is long to start with, you will not get the ringlets that you would in a short hair with this size tong. Taking the back section here, just brushing it through and curling, and this section is going under. Spritzing that again. If you are finding that one section isn't curling, try and make it a little bit smaller and just move that iron really slowly down the hair. Not enough so that you're stopping and that you're singeing the hair, but that you're moving at a slow pace. So as you can see, I've just got some ringlets forming here, and I've just sprayed them. And what we're going to do next is move on to the next section. I'm just going to take a section all the way around the head now and repeat this process, but this time we're going to go under. These sections this time are going to be even narrower, and this is what is going to really give us the volume at the middle part of the hair. So as you can see, this is a smaller piece here. Clamping, flipping the hair over the top this time, and then pulling down slowly. Repeat this all the way through this section of the head, and then we'll move on to the next step. So if your hair is long like mine, what you're going to find is that you are still getting lots of volume in the bottom here, but it is starting to drop closer to the roots. So what you're going to want to do is take your hairspray, and then you can either use your fingers or a comb for this, and I'm just going to scratch back and forth on the head and spritz through, and this is really going to create some texture to the hair. You can also use a VO5 powder, which is really, really good for this, which is just a really small fine powder which you sprinkle on, and as you do this it makes your hair really hard but really voluminous, just like a hairspray would really. Okay, so now moving up a layer, what I'm going to do now is just take a section from the back. So I'm going to go from my ear all the way over the top to the other ear. Drop that back section, and then I'm going to clip this top part out the way. Then with this section that we've dropped, we are going to split this again. So I'm just taking a small section from the side and clipping the rest of that out of the way. And then with this, what we're going to do is alternate. So one's going to go under and one's going to go over as we go across. So this one, I'm just going to start, it's just going to go under. So we're just applying the same method all the way down, and just complete this until that section is complete. Okay, so that under and over motion is just making sure that the curls don't all fall into one big curl. So now taking this last section, I'm going to split it back where I had my part in and clip one side out of the way. And then what we've got left, I'm just going to split this in half again and clip that to the side. And now I'm going to make sure that this tong is really, really close to the root, so splitting that into just smaller sections again, really close to the root in an underwards motion, just to make sure that we get that curl really tight and a lot of volume at this area, and completing the same curl with this front section again. So with this top part that we have left, I'm just going to split that into two again, because this front bit has got mainly my fringe in it. Complete the same curls with this section. Then with this fringe section that we have left, this is where you can either curl it under, just like I did last time, or this time what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a curl down the front of the face, but I don't want this to be too tight because it's so close to the face. So I'm just going to start by straightening down at the top and then curling under and pulling that down a little bit quicker than I have the other curls. Okay, so this is a lot bigger than I normally wear it anyway, but I've still got lots of really tight ringlets, and what I want to do is try and brush these out and just make it really big and natural looking. So I'm just going back to my paddle brush and I'm just going to run this all the way through, just really softly. What I'm now going to do is just flip my head upside down and really brush near the roots so I can get a little bit more volume there. And whilst my head is upside down, I'm just going to give it a real good spritz. Okay, so I flip my head back over and I'm just going to give it one last spray on top here. Just really just digging in and lifting with my fingers. And there we have it, huge hair. Okay everyone, so there we go. This is just another way that you can make your hair really voluminous, just using a straightening iron and some hairspray. And just to show you a different technique of doing your hair if you're normally used to doing a tong. But you can see the results of me using a wider plated straighteners, and I'll link that below for you. So yes, thank you everybody for watching, and I'll speak to you all soon. Bye! Why is that not curling very well? Is it curling?